The New York Jets take on the Pittsburgh Steelers, and today we're going to go through players to watch for. Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary, back with another video. Today we're going into players to watch for. Before we get started, just wanted to mention you can follow on social media, Matt O'Leary NY. Also, make sure to check out the Just Jets podcast, wherever it is that you get your podcast. Pre-game stream tomorrow before the game, and obviously coverage after the fact. But today we are going on BUSR and looking at some of my favorite player props and just players to watch for in general in this matchup for the New York Jets. Zach Wilson's back, so we'll take a look at some of his numbers and what they're projecting and kind of just take it from there. Super excited to get into it, so let's do just that. Pull up BUSR, and we'll start with the props as always. Start with the rushing and the number of carries. Breece Hall over. I would think he should be over 8.5. I would expect the Jets to come out and run the ball. I don't think they're going to try to put too much on the plate of Zach Wilson right away. So I think that's probably an interesting one. Or if you're a Michael Carter guy, at 10.5, it's really not that crazy to think he's going to get 11 plus carries. Again, I think they're going to try to ease Carter back into things. Zach Wilson back into things here. Najee Harris, feel like probably going to go over this number. I feel like he's the focal point of the offense with Mitch Trubisky in right now. Pass attempts, here we go. Is Zach Wilson going to go over 33.5 pass attempts? Probably not. The under at -130, you'd have to lay a lot of juice, so I don't know if I am looking at that. I kind of like the under for Trubisky on passing attempts more, I think, than Wilson's with the number at -122 versus 130, but something to keep an eye on. Completions. Okay. Do we see Zach Wilson go over 20 completions or more? The number is 19.5. The over is plus money, so if you think he's going to go like, I don't know, 22 or 32, something like that, then obviously you'd clear that. Any 20 or higher, anything over. I'm probably not targeting any of these, but certainly interesting markets to look at. Trubisky's number is 20.5. I don't trust anything with Trubisky right now, so I'm probably not looking at any of those things. Interceptions. Zach is -223 to throw a pick and +168 not to. Might be worth a bet, because I know he didn't look good in the Jets' first preseason game, but last year at the end of the year, he went 5 starts in a row without throwing an interception. So that market just seems way out of whack here. So yeah, I might, if you're going to go anywhere, I would go on the under. Or if you think he's going to throw one, don't bet it, because I don't think that's a great value at 223. Passing touchdowns. Okay. Trubisky is plus money to get over 1.5. That's where his line is. I would be surprised if he throws for 2 touchdowns in this game. And for Zach Wilson, if you think he throws a touchdown pass, it is -264. If you think he doesn't, that's plus 194. Not great value. I think he does clear it, but I'm not laying the 264. We're going to look at some alternate ones, or the at least I think are going to be where we find some value. Passing yards. I think Zach goes over this slightly. I think 220 to 230 is where he's going to be hanging. I would think the under on Mitch Trubisky. I think he's going to be in the 180 to 205 range, somewhere around there. Let's get into some receiving yards for this game. Who stands out to you in here? Corey Davis's line set at 31.5. Conklin at 27.5 feels really low for the amount that he's been targeted. Breece Hall at 17.5 is another interesting one. Garrett Wilson's numbers at 45.5. Elijah Moore is at 43.5. So if you're looking at the Jets wide receivers, that's where they are. Michael Carter at over 13.5 yards also feels very low, but more on that later, I guess. Receptions is one that I like to look at. Breece Hall getting 3 catches and plus money. That's an interesting one. That's one that I might go back to. Elijah Moore, 4 catches, possibly. Does Garrett Wilson get to 5? That's in plus money. Conklin over 3.5 is plus money. He's had 4 or more in every single game this year, so that is definitely one to target right there. We'll remember that. It might have to go back to that one after the video ends. Rushing yards, here we go. Harris over 66.5. I would think that's probably where I would lean. Breece Hall's number at 39.5 also feels low. So these are the ones that jump out to me. Does Zach Wilson run for 10 yards? Probably. I would think that's probably a good one. And better value at -110, by the way, versus -114. Do we care about tackles? I don't think Minka Fitzpatrick's playing, but CJ Mosley going to have 10 tackles? Wow. Let's do some of these at least, because I think this is where you really find some of the values. And they have touchdown scorers. Look at this. And parlays and heads-to-heads. But let's do the at least. I like these. And you could change the number. Okay, so Breece Hall at least 9 carries is -115. But if you want to go 12 plus carries for Breece Hall, that is 300 plus 300. Or Michael Carter, if you think he's going to get utilized more, you can change that number and get it into plus money. So I like the at least more than their over-under lines, because if you think you could find some value, I think that's the way to do it. Attempts at least 34 is plus money for Zach. I don't think it's going to be very high, so I would probably avoid these. And same for Trubisky. I don't think the value is going to be there. Same with completions, like unless you think he's completing like 23 passes or something like that. But I'm not targeting completions or attempts for either of these quarterbacks. Not at least in this spot for Zach yet. I think he's going to be eased in a little bit. Interceptions at least. Oh God, 2+ interceptions, 3+ interceptions. Oh my Lanta. Yeah, I don't want to think about that. Hopefully not. We're not betting 3+ interceptions for plus 900. How about? Oh, you get yourself into 2+ passing touchdowns for Wilson. Gets you in plus money. Interesting. Passing yards. So if you think he's gonna go, like if you think he's going off, and like I don't know, you want to go 236 or more, plus 138. If you want to go real nuts and get up into here at 276 at 295. I would probably, I don't even know if I'd go the 236. I think I'd be willing to go here. The 226 at plus 114 would probably be where I would feel most comfortable. Let's look. We care more about the Jets. So let's go over here. How about Elijah Moore, like 64 yards? There you go. If you think he goes 94 or more, 325. Garrett Wilson, maybe he's the one who has the connection with Zach. Get him up in the plus money range, 96 or more, 200 plus 265. Conklin's number is really low. So if you have him at like 48 plus 127, that's a little interesting. And then the last thing we're going to look at is touchdowns, but we'll look rushing yards at least, because these numbers feel low. So like, let's say 60 yards for Breece Hall plus 156. That's a nice way to juice yourself up a little bit. He's someone I'm keeping an eye on. I think the running backs are going to be utilized. Or maybe you're a Michael Carter guy and you think that's the direction they're going to go. 65 plus for him would be plus 208. And then let's take a look at touchdowns. Breece Hall to get 1 is plus 210. Corey Davis is plus 300. Elijah Moore is plus 300. Garrett Wilson's at plus 240. Michael Carter's plus 229. So Breece Hall and Michael Carter are obviously the favorites to get in the end zone. Conklin. Zach Wilson. Oh, Zach Wilson rushing touchdown at plus 800 is worth maybe a little sprinkle. I'm interested in that one. Again, I don't know if I'm laying the money on it, but these are interesting. And then I guess, you know what? Let's do first drive result. Does that really? A punt is the most common bet, or the favorite, I suppose. First touchdown scores, if you're interested, you could look at. But I am more interested in the head-to-head if there's any value here on who is going to have more passing yards. The Zach Wilson at minus 107 is not bad value. Does anything else stick out to you? What about here? Tyler Conklin having more yards than Pat Freiermuth. That's totally possible. Deontay Johnson, Elijah Moore. Or if you want to go Deontay Johnson, Garrett Wilson, you could do that. So there's a ton of different options on BUSR, but some of my favorite ones are the Tyler Conklins. And I like the alternate ones that you could change, or, touchdowns is pretty straightforward. But here, I think the ones that I would be most comfortable targeting are either Breece Hall, Michael Carter on an alternate line for rushing yards. And I would say either an alternate receiving total on Conklin, Wilson, or Elijah Moore would be the ones that I would take a look at. But that's going to do it for me on today's preview. Thanks so much for tuning in. Once again, I am Matt O'Leary, and I'll catch you next time.